You have $500,000 to buy a property in South Florida. What can you buy? An apartment in Brickell? A townhouse? A three-bedroom house? Maybe a house with a pool? The answer is yes, but probably not where you're thinking. Welcome to Miami without surprises. In the previous episode, we calculated how much you generally need to earn to live in Miami. Today, we're going to take that conversation to the next level. Let's assume you have a maximum budget of $500,000 to buy a property. I'm going to show you how what you get for that $500,000 can change depending on where you want to live. And I want to clarify something before we start. When I say $500,000, I'm talking about the price of the property. You don't necessarily have to have $500,000 in your hand. You can buy using financing if you qualify. It also doesn't mean that all the properties I'm going to show you cost exactly $500,000. And remember that prices change constantly. So what I want to show you isn't just a list of houses. I want to show you something much more important, how your purchasing power changes depending on the area. Let's start where many want to start, Brickell. With $500,000 in Brickell, forget about a single-family home. Here we are talking only about condos. Depending on the building, age, size, and location, that budget can put you in smaller units with one or possibly two bedrooms. But here comes a part you can't ignore. The advertised price of a condo doesn't really tell you how much it costs to live there. You have to look at the association fees, taxes, insurance, building reserves, and very importantly, any existing or potential special assessment to come. A $475,000 apartment with a very high association fee can end up being much more expensive monthly than a more expensive property elsewhere. That's why in Miami, to avoid surprises, we never just look at the price. Now, let's take that same $500,000 budget and travel west and south. Kendall. We arrive in Kendall, and here the conversation changes a bit. Depending on the community and the available inventory, your budget can open the door to townhouses and other properties with considerably more space. Instead of prioritizing a beautiful view from the 30th floor, you start prioritizing bedrooms, parking, a yard, and space for the whole family. That is the first big lesson of this video. The same money buys completely different lifestyles. Brickell can give you location and urban living. Kendall, on the other hand, can give you more space. In your case, which one is worth more? Which one's worth more? That depends on you. But let's go further south to Homestead. Here, $500,000 can have a completely different purchasing power. You can find townhome and single-family home options, and besides that, there's a significant amount of relatively new construction and planned communities. And here, a temptation arises. You see a bigger house for much less money, and you say, Alexander, why not buy here then? Because, again, the house is only one part of the decision. If you work every day in Brickell, Coral Gables, or downtown, you have to calculate the commute. In other words, the time you're going to spend traveling from your home to work and back. How much time do you spend driving? How much do you spend on gas? What's an extra hour every day of your life worth? A property might be much cheaper, but your lifestyle could end up being much more expensive. Now, I want to do something that many people who move to Miami don't consider. Let's head north to Broward County, because when someone tells me I want to move to Miami, often what they're actually saying is I want to live in South Florida, and that changes the possibilities a lot. The average price of all properties sold recently in Broward is around $469,000, so $500,000 is much closer to the center of that market. With approximately $500,000, Broward can open up different possibilities depending on the city. Condos, townhouses, and in certain areas, even single-family homes within or around that range. In fact, condo sales between $400,000 and $500,000 have increased considerably in Broward recently, which shows that it is a fairly active segment of the market. And this is precisely why I never recommend limiting your search just because someone says, I want to live in Miami. In conclusion, what does $500,000 buy? In Brickell, a condo, location, and urban lifestyle. In Kendall, you have townhouses and more residential options, more space, and family life. In Homestead, more possibilities for houses, newer construction, and more space. And in Broward, condos, townhouses, and houses, depending on the areas or cities. Also in Broward, you have more cities to buy in because the price is cheaper, and therefore there is greater budget flexibility. Now comes the most important part. After seeing all this, you probably expect me to tell you which is the best option, but I can't because a fundamental piece of information is missing. Where do you work? Do you have children? Do you need good schools? Do you want nightlife? Do you want a yard? Do you want to be able to walk to restaurants? Do you prefer to be close to the airport? Do you work from home? How much are you willing to drive? These questions can be much more important than the kitchen countertops. That's why when a client tells me, Alexander, I have $500,000, what can I buy? My first question shouldn't be how many bedrooms you want. My first question should be how you want to live, because $500,000 can buy you one thing in Brickell, something completely different in Kendall, and another in Homestead, and open up different possibilities if we go all the way to Broward. The right property isn't necessarily the one with the most square footage, it's the one that best fits the life you want to build. Now, let's assume you find that $500,000 property. Perfect. Then comes the question that many buyers forget to ask. How much money do you really need to buy it? And I'm not just talking about the down payment. There are closing costs, prepaids, inspection, appraisal, insurance, and other expenses that can pop up before you get the keys. In the next episode of Miami Without Surprises, we're going to take a $500,000 property and I'm going to show you, dollar by dollar, how much money you might need to get to closing. Because it's one thing to know how much the house costs and another to know how much you need to have in the bank. Subscribe so you don't miss that episode. And if you have a budget of $500,000 to buy and you want me to tell you what options currently exist in South Florida, type 500,000 in the comments. I'm Alexander Hernandez, and this is Miami Without Surprises.